It's tricky, it's so hard, and it's never ideal. And that is why I would never pursue multiple careers for its own sake. The only reason you would pursue multiple careers is because based on your personality and based on your interest, you just can't see any other way. You just can't leave it alone. One of my viewers recently asked me in the comments how to balance multiple careers in a way that works. So today in this video, I want to answer this difficult question, and I want to share with you 5 tips and things that you can consider to make multiple careers work. First of all, I'm so glad that this person asked this question, because this question, how to balance multiple careers, is something that I myself have been working on for over 10 years. In fact, that's the reason why I initially started this channel, Multiple Careers, because I know that there are so many people out there, including myself, who just can't stick to one single career for their entire life. There are just too many interesting things out there to explore and to learn, and there are people like you watching right now perhaps who have different skills and interests that just can't be contained to one single career. But I know how hard it can be to make progress with 2 or even more careers because of the limited time, energy, and also attention that we have. And that is the main question that I try to tackle on this channel, Multiple Careers. So if that is something that you're interested in, then you might want to consider subscribing. And in that case, please make sure that you go to the notification settings and make sure that it's set to all notifications so that YouTube will notify you of every single upload. You might be someone who is already pursuing 2 careers or even more, but find it really difficult to juggle both. Or you are someone who is currently at the stage considering of whether or not you want to start a new career in addition to the one that you already have. In any case, please do let me know in the comments which 2 careers you are pursuing at the moment, or you are perhaps thinking about pursuing. And also let me know your thoughts about multiple careers in general. I'd really love to know. So let's start with the 5 things to consider when you're trying to make multiple careers work. So first, I want to make a basic distinction between a job and a career. And the main difference here is on the level of intention. So a bank teller, for example, could just be a job if the person is only doing this job to earn some money. But on the other hand, if the person is working as a bank teller now but has the intention of climbing the corporate ladder, getting a promotion, and so on, then this would be a career. Let's say that you are pursuing or thinking about pursuing 2 things. First of all, you need to be very clear about whether both of these are jobs, both of these are careers, or whether perhaps one of these is a job and the other one is a career. Why is this so important, you might ask? And the reason is because pursuing a career absorbs so much more mental energy than a job. So if it turns out that the one thing you're pursuing is actually just a job, then you can try and drastically limit the amount of time and the energy that you put into that work. And also limit the hard drive space in your brain that you dedicate to that job, so you can free up some time and energy to focus on your career. Okay, but what if both are careers to you? If we're talking about careers, then usually there is some amount of ambition, and I mean it in a good way, attached to it. It means that you want to make progress in something, that you want to become better and better at it, and that you want to ultimately achieve something. But this requires investment in time and energy, which, too bad, is limited. So if you don't manage your time and energy very carefully, this can easily lead to burnout, which leads me to the next thing. The next thing to consider is which of these 2 careers is your priority. And no, you can't say that both are your priorities, because what a priority means is that when push comes to shove, you'll choose to take care of one career rather than the other. For example, you're pursuing a career in acting and at the same time starting to launch a startup. Prioritizing acting would mean that if you get that audition call and you get that role on that sitcom, then you just drop your startup efforts. But if your startup is your priority, and if you're in the midst of hustling, getting investors on board, and then at the same time you get that acting role, then you drop the acting role, because you can't have and do everything all at once at the same time. And it doesn't mean that your priorities can't change, but if you want to make progress with both careers, then you need to always be aware of your priorities at each point in time. Otherwise, you'll be acting opportunistically, you'll be thrown back and forth, and in the end, you'll achieve nothing at all. So you can still work on 2 careers, but for a specific time period, let's say for the next 6 months or the next 1 year, you need to choose one priority. And the reason is because developing a career requires continuity. You cannot change your priority from week to week or you'll not make any progress at all. And the next point about career development stages will explain this a bit more. By the way, if you found this video useful so far, then please do hit the like button because it will help the YouTube algorithm to push this video out to more people. The next thing is to consider the development stages of these 2 careers. If possible, try to arrange these 2 careers that you're pursuing in a way that they are not in the same development stage. And this is what I mean by development stage. You might be familiar with the Boston Consulting Group product lifecycle model. Here, a product goes through different phases from being a question mark in terms of success to becoming a cash cow, which earns a lot of money, and then into decline. And we can look at careers in a similar way, but instead of a decline, it's more of a phasing out. When you first start a new career, you go through this initiation stage. This is a stage where you learn a lot of new things and you're gearing up and you're trying to find that first job or that first project. And this is a time of big uncertainty. But then you get into this high growth phase. This is where your learning accelerates. You might have already gotten your first job and you're about to get a promotion. If you have a YouTube channel, then your views are starting to compound. If you're a writer, then you're about to get this first new book deal. But in this high growth phase, things are still a bit volatile, a bit risky, and you're not quite sure whether or not you'll achieve your career goals. It's very, very energy consuming because you're putting a lot of work into it. And next, you hopefully go into stabilizing mode. This is a phase where you start seeing constant results. If you have a business, you start having a rather stable income. If you're working in a company, climbing the corporate ladder, you're finally at the stage where you always wanted to be. So in this stage, it's more about optimizing things. It's no longer that risky and things are much more predictable. And finally comes the maintenance phase. In this phase, it's more about making small tweaks and small improvements. You're no longer putting that much energy and time into it. It's a bit more relaxed, you feel a bit more chill until the next wave comes. So keeping in mind these 4 stages, you need to know at which stage each of the careers you're pursuing is at. The following could be an example of well-balanced multiple careers. Let's say that one of your careers is an interior design business and you're in the maintenance stage, which means that you have a regular steady flow of clients, you have a steady flow of income from this, and you basically know what you're doing. And your second career, for example, as a musician, is in the initiation stage or high growth phase. But let's just say that your interior design business is at the initiation stage. So in that case, it would be rather unsustainable if your other career, the musician career, for example, is also at the initiation stage. Another unsustainable combination would be if you have 2 careers both in the high growth stage. So your interior design business is in high growth phase and your musician career is also in a high growth phase, because this will be super stressful and it can easily lead to burnout. And you'll always feel like you're behind in one of these. So ideally, if you want to pursue multiple careers, if you want to pursue 2 careers at the same time, try and place them into different development stages. By the way, if you want to know more about this, if you're interested to hear more, please do let me know in the comments below, because in that case, I might make a follow-up video to this. Now let's move on to the next thing to consider when you're trying to make multiple careers work. The next thing to consider is the timing of goals and milestones. And this is in a way still related to the development stages, but here we're trying to zoom in a bit more. So let's just say that for some reason, because life doesn't always work the way that we want it, these 2 careers that you are pursuing are both in the high growth phase. Both are very time intensive and very energy consuming. So what you need to do is to time your goals and your milestones. And this means that you stagger them. So the big events, the projects, and the all-nighters don't all fall on the same day, same week, or even same month. Let's go back to the earlier example of the interior designer slash musician. Let's just say that in your work as a musician, you have this big piano solo concert coming up in December. It's something that is really important to you personally, and it's something that will define your career. But at the same time, in your work as interior designer, you have 3 potential clients who have started contacting you and who want to work with you. I don't really know how long it takes to complete an interior design project, but I'm pretty sure that it's something that usually would span over the course of several months. So what I would think here is, don't even try to commit doing all these projects this year while you have that piano concert going on. What I think that might make sense is that you commit to only one project that might be due, let's say, in September or October this year, and then push the other 2 projects to the next year. And even if the 2 careers are still in the initiation stage, which by the way I wouldn't recommend at all, you would still need to space out the goals and the milestones. Don't plan for 2 huge milestones to be due at the same time, let's say 1 year from now. In the earlier example, that could mean to get your first interior design client, let's say 5 months or 6 months from now, but on the other hand, get your piano piece polished 18 months from now. And in this way, you will kind of space out your milestones and you can manage your time and your energy better. And now let's get even more micro. The next thing is something even more tactical. The next thing to consider when trying to make multiple careers work is how to scope your effort on a weekly basis. While grand plans are made for the long run, execution is done in the short term. So whether or not you achieve your career goals depends on what you do week by week, day by day, hour by hour. And for me personally, what has worked best is being super detailed and super intentional in planning out my week. So now let's assume that you already know whether you have a job or a career, and you have also figured out your priorities, and you are also crystal clear at which development stage each of this career is at. And in addition to this, you've also timed your goals and your milestones. So now it comes down to the nitty-gritty. Start with your priority career first and decide week by week what it takes, what you need to do exactly to achieve that milestone that you set. For example, for a pianist preparing a piece, for example, the Moonshine Sonata, which has around 18 pages of music sheets, this could mean committing to getting 3 pages per week to perfection. And if you've decided that this career as a musician is your priority, then slot those things into your weekly calendar first. And then look at it and see whatever is left of that, whatever time you have left there, and use that time for the other career. And I know that it's not always possible. It's not that easy. If, for example, you're working full-time for a company, for example, as a software engineer, then all the time you have left is the time on the weekends or the time after work. And then it becomes a little bit more tricky. So what you can do if you are working full-time is, in the beginning, use your time, optimize the time that you have on the weekends and after work to work on your other career in its initiation phase. And I know that this will be a time that will be very difficult, because usually when you're working full-time, and I've been there myself, it's really, really difficult to be working on something else. But if you really want to continue working full-time in that one career, then you just gotta push through. You just gotta get yourself to get some things done for your other career during that initiation stage. But then the next stage, when you get into the high growth phase of your new career, you need to make some tough decisions. What you need to do is to either tone down that full-time software engineering job into a part-time job, or make it into a freelance job, put that career on pause, or somehow shift it into maintenance mode. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting rid of that career. It just means that you're temporarily putting that career on pause, and for the time being not making any time investment, not investing any additional effort into that career. And I know it's tricky, it's so hard, and it's never ideal. And that is why I would never pursue multiple careers for its own sake. The only reason you would pursue multiple careers is because based on your personality and based on your interest, you just can't see any other way. You just can't leave it alone. And if none of these things work, if you simply find it impossible to balance multiple careers, then you might even need to make an even harder decision, which means that you might need to let one of your careers go. or at least phase it out and thin it out so it becomes less of a career but more of a job. And then after you've made that decision and you've freed up your time and your energy and especially your headspace, then you can go ahead and fully pour everything that you've got into that new career. And this is also known as consecutive multiple careers. You can check out this intro video on the main types of multiple careers. This video will help you to figure out what's right for you if you are someone who just can't imagine sticking to one single career for your entire life. Oh, you're still there. By the way, if you found value in this content and if you want to support my channel, you can do that by hitting the like button, leaving a comment down below, or you can buy me a coffee through the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching and see you again next time.